All right. Shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, to the elders, to the bishops, to the elder bishops of Great Millstone that rule well, which taught me this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And also peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the elect. All right, Shalom. And I'm going to get right into it. Ultimately, when it comes to the being in this faith, you have to pay attention to what's going on ultimately in the world, because that's going to be a key indicator of the times that we're in, right? You got to understand the times that we're in. And see, that's what, when it comes to Jake that's on the outside, the 2/3, they don't understand the times that they're in. You still got Jake that's still aspiring to pretty much make it in this society, man, not realizing that this society is on the decline, right? Because ultimately, this current society that we're in is being ran by the wicked. Okay, as a matter of fact, when you go to the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, and it reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Right? Now, first of all, you got to understand who the wicked is, because when it comes to mankind, the Lord has mankind divided into three parts, right? You have the sons of God, right, which are the Lord's people, the children of Israel. You have the sons of men, which are the heathen, and then you have the sons or the seed of the wicked, which are the Edomites, man. Now, how do we know that the wicked are the Edomites? Well, when you go to the book of Malachi, it tells you in Malachi 1 and 4, and it reads, "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness." Now, who is it talking about when it says they shall call them? Now, when it says them, who is it talking about? The Edomites, right? When you go to the beginning of verse 4, the subject matter is Edom. Okay, so Edom coincides with the wicked or the wicked, with the wicked or wickedness. Okay, and it says, "And the people against whom the Lord Yahweh have indignation forever." Okay, and that's another misconception of the Lord, which is many misconceptions of the Lord when it comes to these people on the outside of the faith, man. Okay, especially when it comes to a lot of these Christians, they don't know the Lord, man. Okay, they'll tell you that God is all love, right? They'll tell you that the Lord is all love, but they won't tell you that the Lord actually hates. Okay, how can we prove that? Well, if we go up a few verses, one verse, it tells you. As a matter of fact, let's start at verse 2. Because you got to understand the Lord has his chosen people, which are the Israelites. Who did the Lord make a covenant with? Who did he give his laws, statutes, and commandments unto? He gave them unto the children of Israel. Okay, who did he make a promise to when he made that promise to? He made a promise to Abraham, unto Isaac, unto Jacob, and the seed of Jacob. Okay, so he's only dealing with the Israelites. Okay, he's not dealing with all nations. Okay, which I'll prove that in a second. Okay, it says, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? You know, and that's the mindset of Jake, because they're up under the curses, but they don't realize that they're under the curses, right? Jake knows that they're suffering, right? And they know that they're at the bottom of the society, whether they want to outright admit it or not. They know that they're at the bottom of the society. So they've completely turned their back on the Lord, because they have the mindset of saying, well, if God is real, then why are we going through the hell that we're going through? And they'll say, oh, if God is real, then he must really hate us. So they'll deviate from the Lord, not knowing that the reason why they're suffering these things is because they transgressed the Lord. Okay, let's prove that real quick. When you Salakia, when you go to Baruch, the 2nd chapter, Salakia, when you go to Baruch, the 4th chapter, and the 6th verse, and it reads, you were sold to the nations, right? Because this captivity that we're currently in up under Esau Edom, this isn't our first captivity, and this isn't our only captivity. Since we fell from glory, right? When you read Genesis, the 6th chapter, and it goes into the sons of God, and it goes into the fall of the sons of God. Ultimately, since we fell from being on top, we've been in and out of various different captivities under these heathen nations. Okay, so at the end of the day, this has been happening because we keep transgressing the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, and the Lord is forced to punish us. So Jake doesn't realize that ultimately we're being punished. If you think about a father and his child, if he gives his child a specific set of rules to follow, and that child deviates from those rules, then the father is going to have to come down with punishment. Okay? So that's what the Lord is doing unto us. Baruch 4 and 6, you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction. So the Lord didn't put us into captivity to completely destroy us, right? If you let one of these, Christian theologian Edomites, and Jake as well, because Jake want to pander to the so-called white man. If you let them tell it, they'll tell you that the Lord is not dealing with the children of Israel anymore. But the Lord says that he will never do away with Israel, right? And this is a verse right here proving, because the Lord says that he didn't do this unto us to destroy us, man, right? We're only being punished, okay? And if you know about punishments, they don't last forever, man, okay? It says you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies. Okay, so we provoked the Lord unto wrath and anger with us transgressing his laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay, so a punishment has to ensue because of that, man. So currently right now we're serving a captivity, but the good news is this is our final captivity and we're at the end of this captivity. Okay. Verse 7, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. And that's Jake, man. Jacob worship anything underneath the sun except worshiping the true power Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And that's the number one commandment. The Lord says that thou shalt not put any gods before me. Okay? So this is why Jake is constantly getting fucked up. And they have the prophets here via Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The Lord has given them the prophets to warn them, but Jake doesn't want to hearken. So ultimately, the Lord is going to be forced to come down with great wrath. So everything that you see that's being prepared, how the Lord is using these elites through using Donald Trump to come down with these strict draconian laws, and ultimately they're waging war against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and you so-called Hispanics. This is all the doings of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? We're entering into the time of Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30 and 7, right? As a matter of fact, Let me grab that real quick. But you know what? Let me finish this first. Salat. I'll come back to Malachi. Let's go here real quick to Jeremiah 30:7. And it reads, Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, so we're in that time of Jacob's trouble. We're in the beginning stages of it. Now, the elect is going to be around. The elect is going to be in the midst of Jacob's trouble, but the Lord is going to have a protection around the elect. But when it comes to the 2/3, they're not going to have that divine protection because they didn't believe in the Lord. They didn't hearken unto the voice of the Lord when the Lord had his prophets out here. So the Lord is getting ready to bring a great evil upon 2/3 of our people. All right. And he's going to use Esau to do it. Just like when you seen in the first purge, when they were coming at Jake and, well, the forever purge, coming after the northern tribes. And then the first purge coming after Jake, the southern kingdom. Well, they're about to do that in real time. And it's going to be brutal because this is the punishment that the Lord has set for you 2/3, man. All right. Now let's go back to Malachi. So Jake has the mindset pretty much saying that the Lord, well, they've completely gone left. They've completely turned their back against Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai because they're wrapped up in their emotions, right? Like I was saying earlier, Jake has the mindset of saying, well, you know, why, if God is real, why is he putting us through all this hell? So on and so forth, but they don't understand why. And I just explained why. Because we transgress his law, statutes, and commandments, so we're being punished. Okay? It says, I have loved you, saith the Lord. I have loved you, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Right? That's the mindset of Jacob. Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord Yahweh. Yet I love Jacob. So the Lord loves, when it says Jacob, that's representation of the seed of Jacob as well, right? So the Lord loves us when it comes to the Israelites. That's why he's punishing us, okay? Because like I made the example earlier, if you have a child, how do you show your child love? Well, sometimes you got to show your child tough love because you're looking out for their best interests, okay? And that's what the Lord is doing with us. But when it comes to Esau, like I was saying earlier, especially when it comes to these Christians, they're not going to tell you that the Lord hates because they don't know. Okay, they're drunk off of these wicked doctrines of thinking that the Lord is all love, which is not true, and I'm about to prove it. Verse 3, and I hated Esau, right? So the Edomites, being the so-called white man, okay, the so-called white race, okay, and of course we understand that everybody that looks like a so-called white person doesn't mean that they're an Edomite. Some can be other heathen mixed in that looks like Edomites, and a lot are Israelites, man. Okay, Israelite foreigners, because according to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 64th verse, and there's other precepts as well, the Lord has scattered us amongst the other nations. That's a part of the curses. So you're going to have Jake that looks like other nations, but it's all about a bloodline thing, a seed line. It's not necessarily about color, although color is a key indicator. That's not always the case, man. Okay. So it says, and I hated Esau. Okay, so when it comes to the Edomites, the Lord hates you Edomites, man. Okay. It says, and laid his mountains and heritage to waste. But wait a minute, I thought the Lord is all love. I thought the Lord can only love and not hate. Okay, that's complete BS, right? They err in not knowing the scriptures. I'm reading it right here. The Lord hates Edomites, the wicked. Okay, and the Lord is getting ready to bring a great judgment upon these Edomites, man. And Esau doesn't even know it. Esau is being set up for the kill. Right here it is. Esau thinks that he's getting ready to completely destroy Jake and finally get on top. But the Lord is setting up a snare for this devil, man. Right? It says, and laid his mountains and heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Okay? Now let's read verse 4 again. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. That which he did. He did that, right? Because when you go into the origins of Esau coming into power, that's why he's so proud about, his Greek, his going back to the Greeks. They'll say what? Civilization started with the Greeks, but they won't tell you that civilization for the Edomites started with the Greeks when they came into power, right, under Alexander the Greek, right? They call him Alexander the Great, but we call him Alexander the Greek. And that's when they came into power, and eventually the Roman Empire was established. But then the Roman Empire fell for a period of 1,000 years. Okay, so this is what it's talking about. And then during that period of 1,000 years, who was ruling when Esau fell, when the Roman Empire fell, right? Well, you had the time of the Moors, okay, which were so-called of Negroid descent. Okay, we actually ruled. Well, Jake, the Southern Kingdom, Jake ruled for a period of 1,000 years in Europe, and it's all type of history, historical books, and artifacts that you can see, and books that you can get to prove that, man. And Esau calls these times the so-called Dark Ages, and they'll say during this time they don't really understand. Well, they'll say that there's no recollection of history that took place for a period of 1,000 years. You mean to tell me that nothing took place? Well, that's BS. They don't want to let you know that Jake was in power. Okay. But so when it says, but we will return, when it says we are impoverished, this is talking about when they had to be up under the subjection of Jake. Okay. Now when it says, but we will return and build the desolate places, this is what they did when they came back into power. Because after that period of 1,000 years, when the Moors fell, Esau came back into power during the time of the Renaissance. Now, when you go into the word Renaissance, it literally means the beginning. Okay, so this is when Esau came back into power. Salakia, when you go into Salakia, when you go into Renaissance, it means as a matter of fact, let's look it up. Salah. Yeah. So it really means rebirth, but I want to get the definition for it. Yeah, so there it is right there. So it says the Renaissance was a cultural, intellectual, and artistic movement in Europe, roughly spanning the 14th to the 17th century. The word itself means rebirth, okay? It refers to the revival of classical learning and values from ancient Greece and Rome after the Middle Ages. Okay, so this is when Esau came back into power. So when it says we will return and build the desolate places, this already took place during the time of the Renaissance period. Salakia. I just woke up, Salakia. So, so they came back into power, right? So this was their mindset. They said, we will return and build the desolate places, and that is which they did, i.e. what we're currently seeing now, America, right? This is pretty much America is a result of Esau coming back into power. But America is on the decline because look, Esau thought that Esau still thinks that he's going to continue to rule forever and ever. As the scriptures say, their thoughts is that they shall rule forever, roughly paraphrasing that. Okay. But they don't realize that the Lord has given them a cutoff period, man. Okay. Like it says in Job, the 14th chapter and the 20th chapter, which I'll grab that next. So it says, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. So the Lord is getting ready to throw down, man. He's getting ready to take these devils out of power. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, have indignation forever. Okay? So the Lord, when it comes to these Edomites, they have a cutoff period, man. Job, the 14th chapter. Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So you can use this for speaking about Esau's rulership, man. The Lord has a certain boundary, a certain limit to as far as Esau can go. Because if you let Esau have it, he'll get full control over all the nations of people. He'll get rid of Jacob. And ultimately, Esau wants to replace us, man. He wants to replace us so that he can be accepted of the Lord, but it's never going to happen. Okay? So, see, the Lord has a cutoff point for this devil. He has a certain limit that he's going to allow Esau to reach. And once Esau reaches that limit, that's when he's going to strike him down. Okay? So he's bounded by the Lord, man. Job 20:5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short. Now we just read in Malachi, the 1st chapter and the 4th verse, that the wicked is synonymous or goes hand in hand. The wicked are the Edomites, Esau, Edom. That's the seed of the wicked. Okay? That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. So the Lord allowed this devil to rule for a short season. And that short season is up, man. Okay? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach into the clouds, Salakia, and his head reach into the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. So the Lord allowed this devil to get on high, just like during the time of Egypt, when we were in the Egyptian captivity under Pharaoh. He allowed the Egyptians to become very powerful, and then he struck them down. And that's how the Heavenly Father showed his power and delivered us. The same thing is going to happen now, except this is going to be even greater. And the Lord ultimately is going to show his power by taking down these devils. He's the one that raised them up. So it's only right that he's going to be the one to take them down, man. Because if you look at it, it looks like Esau cannot be stopped. But the Lord is going to stop these devils right in their tracks, man. Okay? So it says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. Okay, so ultimately these devils are about to go into captivity, man. Okay, and it tells you that in Isaiah, the 14th chapter. For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Speaking about all 12 tribes of Israel. The Lord is not going to, and it's not talking about these other nations, because the Lord doesn't care about these other nations, man. You can read about that in 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, around the 54th verse on down. It goes into how the Lord looks at these nations as nothing and less than nothing, man. He likens them unto spittle. Okay, and of course Esau is included in that, man. So these nations and Esau, especially Esau, they're about to get a major reality check of who the Lord truly is, man, and who he's truly dealing with. Okay, even 2/3 gonna get it, man, and they're gonna see that the Lord is truly dealing with his elect. Now, of course, all of Israel is going to be in the kingdom and accepted of the Lord, but right now it's only about the elect. Okay, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. So those small hats that's over there in the land of Israel, proclaiming to be the children of Israel, ultimately, they're being exposed now, and they're going to fully be exposed and taken down, because they're not the true children of the Lord, man. They're imposters, okay? And the Lord is getting ready to truly expose them, man, and put them in chains, okay? And the Lord is going to physically set us in the land, not through them stealing the land and through the Balfour Declaration and ultimately trying to proclaim themselves to be the children of Israel. Okay, that's not going to fly. Okay, the Lord is getting ready to strike them down. Okay, and put the true people of that land back in their land, man. And he's going to do it in a glorious fashion. It says, and the strangers shall be joined with them, strangers going into the Israelite foreigners. Okay, when you go here, it says of foreigners in Israel. Okay, Israelites that have been scattered amongst the other nations. Okay, making them Israelite foreigners. You know, they may look like the other nations, speak like the other nations, but spiritually, their bloodline goes back to being Israelites. Okay, and the strangers, the Israelite foreigners, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Okay, and they shall come, Salakia, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. So we're going to have servants, being the other nations. Okay, Esau, especially Esau included, man. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So this is the ultimate reparations, man. This is the ultimate get back. This is true justice. Everybody that has wronged us and had us in captivity, we're going to get them in captivity. Okay? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Now the current king of Babylon, Babylon meaning land of confusion or confused land, and it doesn't get, a land doesn't get any more confusing than America, right? And the current king of Babylon is Donald Trump, okay? But ultimately going into these Edomites being in power. And say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased, right? The golden city, America. America's on the decline, man, because the Lord is getting ready to take this place out. He's about to take down the rulership of these Edomites, man. The Lord have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. You see? Because Esau, and this is why everybody, the whole world is pissed off at Esau, man. Right? Because, of course, Esau fucked over the children of Israel, but also these other nations as well. And these other nations have not forgotten about that. So the Lord is getting ready to put a particular spirit on these nations to launch missiles upon America, Babylon the Great, in this third world war, man. Okay? And when it says none hindereth, you know, these devils have been fucking with these nations, and they haven't been stopped. Okay, but now they're about to be stopped dead in their tracks. And it reads, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. And this is going to be the spirit once these devils are taken down, man. Everything is going to be rejoicing. Of course, we are the children of Israel, but the whole earth, the planet earth itself. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, Salakia, no feller is come up against us, right? Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Right? These at one point, you know, Esau was looked upon as a god, especially when he dropped those atomic bombs on Ammon, the so-called Japanese, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and those other surrounding areas. When Esau did that, that made him look like a god, man. But now all these other nations got that type of technology, and for the ones that don't, they're siding with the ones that do. Okay, because ultimately biblical prophecy is in the process of being fulfilled, right? So and they're seeing how Esau has become weak. Okay. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and that's representing decay and death. And the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, which Lucifer just means light bearer or bearer of light. That's why they have a secret society, which is not so secret anymore, called the Illuminati. Okay, meaning light or illuminated ones. Okay, because they have the illusion as if they actually have the light. Okay. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. So ultimately, they have that God complex, man. Right? They got their space force. They're in and out of space and so on and so forth. And ultimately, they're preparing to try to fight against the Lord, which when you read 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, they're going to be completely obliterated, man. Okay, by Yahweh Shai and the angels and the elect. I will also sit upon I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. See, Esau is trying to be like the Most High. That's why this devil is trying to put his MOTB in everyone, because he wants to have full control over the masses of the people, over the whole entire planet Earth. He ultimately wants to have rule over the planets. So he has that God complex, man. But the Lord is getting ready to cut this devil down, man, right in his tracks. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? Wait until Esau goes back into his true beast-like state, when we have him in captivity. Everybody's going to be looking at this devil like, him? This the nigga that once had us in captivity, right? All the Israelites, right? We're going to look back at Esau, especially the 2/3, because they don't realize that, what's going on. We're going to look at this devil. I'll give you an example, like our children or so on and so forth. We're going to look at this devil and say, him, this man is the one that once had the whole world trembling under him, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of its prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers, the Edomites, shall never be renowned. And this is the judgment of these devils. Prepare slaughter for his children, right? And right now, Esau is complaining, right? The offspring of Esau, Edom, these Edomites, they're complaining because everybody is turning an eye to this devil. That Esau is being it's an inquisition that's going on upon Esau, man, by the Lord. And with that happening, everybody is looking at this devil saying, you know what? This whole time, and Esau's still trying to do it. This whole time you've been trying to blame niggas, right? So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You've been trying to put them out as the face of terror, as the problem of the earth, right? And don't get it twisted. Yeah, Jake is a problem, but Jake is not the problem, right? Niggas, YNs, they're a problem, but they're not the problem. Okay, they're not the ones that's going into these other countries and draining them of their natural resources, pretty much coming in the name of democracy, and setting up puppet governments. Jake ain't doing that, man. That's these Edomites, man. Okay, and now everybody is looking at this devil saying, you know what? Nah, you're the problem of the earth, and this is why Esau is complaining. Okay, because he's been found out, right? So now he wants to complain because everybody's coming against this devil, man. Okay, because this is the time of his end. So it says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord Yahweh. So the Lord is getting ready to completely cut off the seed line of Esau. And that's going to happen after he serves 1,000 years of slavery under us, man. So soon there's not going to be any more Edomites left. Let's end off on this. Obadiah 1:8. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So Esau is about to be completely cut off, man. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So right now that shame is covering him, that shameful spewing, that wicked history that he had with all the bloodshed that he had over the tribes is coming back up to the surface, man. And that's why this devil is trying to counter that by trying to make Jake the face of terror, talking about they got black fatigue and so on and so forth. But it ain't gonna work, man. At the end of the day, yeah, the Lord is going to allow you to, get quite a bit of Jake. And ultimately, that's going to be punishment on them. But in the grand scheme of things, Esau, you're done, man. It's a wrap, okay? So that shameful spewing is coming out, and he's trying to, get the minds of the people away from that. But it's going to get worse and worse for this devil, man. Ultimately, it's going to lead to them being cut off, man. Right? Verse 18, and it says, and the house of Jacob shall be a flame, and the house of Esau, Salakia, and the house of Jacob shall be a flame, and the house of Joseph, Salakia. Let me read that again. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. So Esau is about to be completely destroyed, man. And they shall kindle them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh have spoken. Okay, so the Lord is getting ready to take these devils down, man. And you 2/3, y'all about to be caught up in it as far as the destruction. But ultimately, you're going to be in the 2/3 will come back through the loins of the elect, and they're going to be in the kingdom. Okay, so it's a wrap for these devils, man. So the good news, the gospel is we're at the end of our captivity, man. But this is just a lesson through the Spirit, man. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles, to the bishops, to the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, which taught me this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And also peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the elect. Until next time, Shalom.